Hi everyone, good to see you again. Hello Rami.
Hi Thomas, good to see you too.
It's quite powerful to stay together for such a long time via the continents, isn't it? Throughout different time zones. And I don't know how much you also see the people in the webinar, all the different people. It creates a reality on its own where it's just very obvious how a field is building, and the meditation is deeply influenced by that. That's at least how I experience it on this side of the ocean.
Yeah, I appreciated sitting this long, especially after hearing Charles Eisenstein inviting me to imagine that things feel other than just people. And as I was sitting and watching, I kept having that question: how are they feeling?
Yeah.
And I felt that connection that you speak of came from that question, that the empathy came from that.
Yeah. As we are doing this, I also really become more aware than I was before how what we're doing is a real collective practice in opening up our senses to this feeling that you're describing. It's really opening the sense organs for belonging to Earth. And I mean, Charles was amazing. I really was deeply touched by him. This one sentence: you would not do that if you are aware that she would feel. You just would not do that. And then he just left you alone with his sentence, basically. That's that was yeah. It really hit me. Let's put it that way. And our next guest is also there. The web stream? No. Okay. Us either. Wait, I have here some different sound coming in that I have to switch off. Pai Villaraza joins us from the other side of this globe, literally from the other side, from the Philippines. He pre-recorded this. He is with us, but because of the internet connection in the Philippines, he wanted to make sure that things work out, and so he decided to do a pre-recording. And for all of you who don't know Pai, it's interesting. I learned to know him 2 years ago when we did the first One World Bearing Witness. He was our guest at that time too, and they did a very powerful healing ritual in the Philippines that touched everyone around the world. And then Pai, I think over a year, went on a silent retreat on his own. So he was basically offline, and he works with something that it comes from the Filipino shamanic tradition, and that he also developed on his own. It's called inner dance. And he developed communities in the global south, in Southeast Asia, in the Philippines, in India, and also in South Africa. And what he will talk about today is very much connected to what we just talked in a very particular sense. Our global human story. He says that he's, with his work, tipping into an experience how we develop something like a global human. A global human. And I think being together like we are right now together, we are pretty prepared. definitely I more than usual to be aware of, wait a moment, being human is not just this individualized event that I usually connect to. It's a shared experience that we share, and that we hold together all over the globe. And he seems to, in his work, really to dive into this experience and also into the deep time experience of this, because our collective biography is much bigger than our individual biography. And as we are belonging to Earth, we are also one humanity belonging to Earth. It's not just me, Thomas, belonging to Earth, you, Rami, belonging to Earth. That's also true. But it's also this human body that was born out of Earth, is part of Earth, is one of Earth's flowers, one of the children of this planet, our culture. And in his talk, he will also bring in a conversation of people connected to him in South Africa, people are African and of European descent, but living in South Africa, and also sharing their experience that Africa is where we all come from. There's not a single human who does not come from Africa. We all came there. That's where we, as a race, as a human race, got born. And over the thousand years, we spread over the globe and created all kinds of different variations of ours. But to see this, that we have a birthplace, it's called Africa, all of us. And we are belonging to Earth. That's, I think, what Pi really delivers in a very powerful way. And also to hear a voice from the other part of the globe, directly from the other side. That's something I think I very appreciate that we have him with us again. So maybe we just jump into it, and I ask our technicians to start the recording, and I'm very much looking forward. I heard of this recording, but I haven't seen it yet. So Pi Villaraza will talk to us.
Welcome to One World Bearing Witness from the Philippine Islands, where there's a lot of heart for what it means that one world bears witness to one world. From the vantage of the tropics, what does it mean to witness? We're being asked to deeply listen with our eyes closed, and at the same time we're seeking to understand what it means to see with our ears open. A little prince once said, "It's only with the heart that one can see lightly, and what is essential is invisible to the eye." If what the heart sees is light, there might be a place where all things are made of light, and thus originates from the heart. So what is the heart of the earth? if Earth is a sentient being, all things on Earth are parts of the same beingness that have hearts. Where do all hearts meet? I've always wondered at the heart of the word heart is EAR, it's the ear. And at the heart of the earth is ART, which is the eye. The eye and the ear are our two minds seeing and feeling each other. And so we could talk about origins, the elusive philosophical inquiry on causation, not just by way of wondering, but there's this innate desire to go back to the beginning, the blank slate, the white page. How old are we? Where did we come from? It began in Africa. To me, these words initiated my first experience of the death of what is personal. Suddenly, there was an experience of the body that moves from its own autonomy, its own will. There was no control, yet there was an absolute control. And I witnessed a rebirth. When instead of moving, I was moved. There were no concepts. There was no memory of me or of earth, of universe, of human. And it was a journey of coming back to a sense of my narrative, my many parts, my story. There was a transmission from there to here. Of the story of all the stories, that there was just one story, and somehow all the stories intertwine. The story could be a poem, a painting, an image dream. In my body, it was a songline punctuated by a dance that translated the temporality of vibratory unfolding. We're being called to listen to the song of the earth. And for that song, how are we composed? In brain, breath, and blood, there's rhythm, there's harmony, there's melody. In the sequential and the non-sequential time and space are somehow encoded and decoded. In antiquity, it was thought that the heart was the mind, that the center of consciousness was in the chest, and this gray matter in the head was a kind of radiator, a coolant for the pulsating, palpitating, pulsing, warm seat of consciousness. And it was going to take a while for us to imagine the consciousness was then made responsible by the electrical pathways, the neural information highway that interconnects all of this information. And yet it's somehow strange. We are remembering. Maybe they were right all along, that the heart is the brain. What is time? What is memory? And how are we bearing witness? How are we honoring in every moment our true age, oldness? The heart learned to act. It is motivated by a continuous action that is a reaction. How our autonomy is caused by our autonomic nervous systems. In every fear-based action, reacting to an external input. And every time there's trust, the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system is in fact our conditioning. Every organism that has a heart makes a choice to expand or contract, to see, make visible, and collapse reality into an isness, or to suspend the seeing, thinking process, and through feeling, through hearing, to welcome possibilities through trust, through this thinking, knowing everything is happening for a reason. Autonomously, the heart is a larger mind. And so Africa isn't just a geographical place. It's a vibratory point of origin. Not black, not white, but rainbow beyond the key of 7. The origins of consciousness, of language, of culture has hounded deep thinkers since the beginning of the mirroring process of projection of consciousness. And as we inload what has been sent out, as we receive and hear everything that's been created and spoken, Africa, ancient, present, future Africa, once again comes to us as a question mark. Who are we? And then who are we becoming? A reflexivity is at work. A meta cognition is taking place. And when our awareness becomes aware of itself, when our perception begins to perceive its own, when consciousness becomes self-conscious, there's a liberation story in the decolonization of our minds that will take place in the calcified physicality of what seems to be the body that dissolves the Cartesian mind-body problem. We rehash, we rethink rationality from the vantage of emotions, energetics, earth as consciousness, and we probably will be confronted by a theory of evolution in the post-Darwinian sense. What is time in the cosmic and quantum reality isn't just going to be thought about what we perceive, we experience, and what we experience, we perceive. And so I invite a profoundly inspiring community in a town called Cape Town, where it is often thought that this is where it somehow all started. How are we then experiencing the emergence in such places where memory is locked in? A new language, a new culture, a new cognition probably awakens simultaneously, and the meta-narrative will be co-authored by any one avenue where all hearts is the heart of the earth. Thank you for witnessing what begins in Africa.
What Pi really brought up, how Africa is our story and how we have all this in us somehow. And when we go to meditation, really with all of that, and it's not necessary to understand all, at least I don't, just to be aware how this is our shared experience of being human with all of this. I don't know how it's for you, Rami.
Yeah, very much so. And I was also just tracking myself throughout the day and in the last hour, and remembering my own words in the beginning of the program of what it's like to be in the midst of any experience. And so much of what this day is dedicated to is to be also in the midst of different voices and different speeds. And there's moments of slowness and there are moments of fastness. And like Charles was saying, can we also be okay with the discomfort as we are with the comfort? And as I'm also acknowledging the midpoint of our program, we're actually just into our 13th hour. And I want to thank you, Thomas and Elizabeth, and everybody in the different meditation rooms and the people who stayed all this time. And it's a testament of your practice and your resolve. And as we will soon break for a few more minutes until the round hour, let's find the resources that we need to recharge and continue with the same resolve.
Yeah, and also one sentence that we said when we started this program together, which still stays, we need to really let in, take in, and let go. And I'm very much looking forward to sit together. So thank you, everyone, and let's join together in the silence of meditation. Thank you.